Okay. Okay. Last time we left off talking about some derived relational algebra operations that we could do, but usually we were talking about mainly some six fundamental relational operations. Let me get that back. Yes. These six relational operations. So mainly we talked about select, project, set union, set difference, Cartesian product, and the rename operation. So I will quickly go over them again today, and then I'll start off with the other operations that we would need to look at. But before I do, any questions so far about these operations? And while I'm at it, could some of you, except Angelina, thank you, Angelina, could some of you at least turn your webcams on so that I'm not teaching blank screen? Just Angelina, it would be really helpful, but again, not necessary, but up to you. Okay, we talked about select. Remember, select was essentially a method or an operation to select certain rows from our relation, right? So given a certain condition, and note that that condition needs to be true, right? So given a particular condition, you get a list of rows for which that condition ends up being true. So essentially, let's see. So essentially what we did was, for example, for select, I can say that select all my from my account relation where each has account ID, branch name, and balance as its attributes. Select all the accounts in my Los Angeles branch. So in that scenario, I can just say select branch name equals Los Angeles, and then apply that operation on my account relation, and I get the list of all my accounts in the Los Angeles branch. Note that when we apply select, we are actually getting all the attributes of that particular row. So this is basically a row selection operation, right? Okay. And we could also have more complicated select, pardon me, more complicated predicates as well. So for example, select all the accounts that are in Los Angeles and have a balance less than 300. So we can also apply those predicates as well. So remember that these predicates are being imposed in terms of their attribute names. So we have branch name, our attribute name needs to equal Los Angeles, and our balance attribute name needs to be less than 300. Project, on the other hand, was projecting down all the columns of a particular relation, right? So I want to get, let's say, the list of all branches in my relation. I would project down the branch name, and I would get the list of all branches. I could also have multiple columns separated by commas in my project operation. We will talk more about that later, but essentially I could have multiple columns being projected out. So for example, list out all the account IDs and the branch names. I don't care about the balance. So I would just say project account ID comma branch name on the account relation, right? So that would give me the list of all of those two things. Okay. And again, these two, any of those operations can be composed together to form more complex relations. So for example, what would this particular operation do? Select all rows that have a balance of greater than 300. And then from that set of rows, project out the account IDs. So this would actually give me the account IDs of all people that have a balance of greater than or equal to 300, right? Okay. We also talked about set union operations where we actually merge together two tables to form a larger table. So for example, we said like find the names of all customers that have either a bank account or a loan at a particular bank, right? So in that particular scenario, we would need, for example, the customer name. So customer name would be in these two relations, and we basically need a list of all of those relations that are either a borrower or a depositor, right? So I can just do one thing. I can just say unite or sum up all of those two relations. So perform a set union on these two relations. That gets me the list of all of those customer names and account IDs. And remember, we are talking about sets. So no two duplicate results stay. And in this scenario, no two duplicate results would stay. And so essentially we can project down the customer name for depositor, project down the customer name for borrower, and perform set union on those two operations or those two relations. And we get a list of names or customer names that are either a depositor or a borrower. Okay. So note that, so for example, when I ask you, for example, in a homework or something, write out a relation where or relational operation which does certain blah, 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 you would be required to type out these particular relation operations on that particular table and tell me how you would actually get that particular values, right? Okay. Similarly, we also had set difference. Set difference, remember, is the tuples in both R and so results containing tuples that are only in R but not in S, right? So I think so essentially, I want tuples that are in a particular table and that are not in another table at all. So any overlap between those two tables gets removed as well. So again, the schema for that was going to be the same as that of set union.
The first place, just go home free, like no problem, nothing happened. And also, I do think it's important to convict him and prevent him from ever holding office again in the future. Look, I know he's older.
I'm sorry, I was really interested in what's going on right now. Okay, so I'm going to mute everything. Okay. Okay, so coming back. Yes. What was that? Yes. So let's say that we have a relation where we want all depositors that are not borrowers, right? So in that particular scenario, I would have customer name depositor, customer name borrower. So I project down the customer name values and then I subtract them out together to get actual usernames, Johnson and Reynolds. We see that Smith and Lewis are basically both borrowers and depositors. So those things get cut out and we are left with Johnson and Reynolds, which are people who are account holders but are not loan owners. Right? We also talked about Cartesian product. This was a bit difficult for us, but we did walk through it. So remember, for a Cartesian product, we are actually merging two tables together and we are actually creating a new table that is at least a new view that is a combination of all possibilities. So for example, let's say that we have these two relations, that is borrower, that is customer name and loan ID, and we have this loan operation, loan relation that had loan ID, branch name and amount. So if I merge those two together, or if I perform the Cartesian product of those two relations, I would be getting, so we have four tuples for borrower, four tuples for loan. I would be getting for each row in my borrower relation, I would have a corresponding four values from the loan relation as well. So it's essentially Anderson L437, loan then becomes L421 San Francisco 7500, Anderson L437 L445 Los Angeles 2000, Anderson L437 L437 Las Vegas 4300, and Anderson again L437 L419 Seattle 2900. So that was for one row of Anderson. We had all possible combinations from loan. Secondly, again, we move on to Jackson. Again, we have individual rows for all of our loan values, right? So the corresponding schema or the corresponding relation for that particular Cartesian product would look something like this, right? So note one thing, that in this particular scenario, we have two attributes that have the same name, right? They are the same thing. So borrower.loan ID, loan.loan ID. So let me ask you guys a couple of questions. So in this scenario, we can say that loan, let's say that customer name is your primary key for borrower and loan is your loan ID is your primary key for loan. But if I say that loan ID is also in borrower, what does loan ID become? Is it a super key, candidate key, primary key, or a foreign key? What is loan ID in borrower? Remember, when we have a primary key of a table in another table, what is it called? Any clues?
Is foreign key?
Foreign key, exactly, right? Because we are referencing another table's primary key into our own table. So here in this scenario, loan ID is our foreign key. And again, we have one more loan ID here. So when we combine those two, for example, we have a borrower loan ID and a loan.loan ID as well. That is, the common attribute gets repeated twice. And since it's ambiguous, we actually specify that one is borrower.loan ID and the other one is loan.loan ID. Now, if you notice this relation carefully, you might notice that not all relations make sense here. So I cannot have Anderson that has a borrower loan ID of L437 having a loan ID of 421 at San Francisco um, with a balance of 7500, right? This does not make sense. In our table, since it's a foreign key, we want both loan IDs to be the same, right? Because we have two tables there. So in this scenario, what would be a legitimate relation or a tuple? Well, Lewis with L421, borrower.loan ID, loan.loan ID L421 at San Francisco 7500 actually becomes a relevant, useful tuple, right? However, other values might not be the same. So in this scenario, we would want to get a Cartesian product and then say that, okay, filter out all the relations that we have that have a borrower loan ID equals loan.loan ID, right? Okay. So in that scenario, we can say cross borrower with loan. So multiply borrower with loan. That gives me a bunch of data from there. And then we just say select all of those rows where borrower.loan ID equals loan.loan ID. So that gets me the relevant or actual useful information from that particular product. Any questions so far? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
How about the other useful information, like you say, like the borrower's loan ID and loan ID, if they won't match, how about will they be stored as garbage value or it won't be stored?
That is a very interesting question, and that allows me to talk about another thing. So in this particular scenario, we say that L437 and L421 does not make sense, right? Because both of those IDs need to be the same. Now, if we are actually performing a Cartesian product on those two relations, we are going to get some legitimate values along with some garbage values, as you call them, right? So garbage values as well. So if we perform borrower cross loan, it is generating those sets of tuples, and we are filtering out all of those values that are relevant to us, and that actually makes sense. In database implementations, our database will not implement this particular expression like this. So given that we know what is the thing that we are looking for, that is the case where borrower loan ID equals loan.loan ID, our database would preemptively select rows that are required and only generate Cartesian products for those particular rows. Given that we know that so far, that actually helps us in optimizing that particular operation. So it would automatically remove all your garbage possibilities and just give you the result and just compute the actual values that are required instead of computing the garbage values. Now, however, if we just perform a Cartesian product and just print everything out,